Hey guys, welcome back to Pretty Loud, where real talk gets pretty loud. I'm your host, Nisi. Welcome to episode 3. Thank you so much for listening again. I really appreciate your support. So, in last week's episode 2, Red Flags We Repaint, we talked about red flags and how if you're not careful, they turn into trauma bonds. So go back to that episode from last week if you missed it, and then come on back. So this week, we're slowing it down just a little bit, and we're talking about red flags in theory. So we're naming them this week. And the reason why I wanted to do this is because sometimes it's not that we didn't see the signs, it's that we didn't believe that they meant exactly what they did. So in my own life, I've ignored red flags, and after years with dealing with my abuser, the red flags began to stack up. And you don't realize how heavy manipulation is until you stop carrying it. And when it was me, I thought I was crazy in love, but I was exhausted from defending my own reality. I don't share this for pity. I share it because someone listening is in that fog that I was in. And I need you guys to know that the fog lifts. You won't always be triggered by the memory. You'll start to see yourself again. That next version of you is stronger than what you could ever imagine. Most importantly, you'll be stronger than the person that stayed. So let's get right into it. Sometimes red flags aren't deal breakers at first. It's like data. The problem is when we start negotiating with data instead of believing it, that's when it becomes a problem. So when I think about red flags now, I don't just think about dating rules or social media quotes. I think about the time that I let my heart or my feelings override what was actually going on and all the warning signs that I missed at that time. So from a personal standpoint, it was me, I knew the relationship was toxic at some point, and I knew I was losing myself. But I kept convincing myself that I could fix what manipulation kept breaking. So please don't do this, guys. Seriously. I used to say, he doesn't just know how to love right. But the truth is, he knew exactly what he was doing. And I was the one trying to turn chaos into compassion. So I remember how small I felt back then, how quiet. I was so angry at myself for staying, embarrassed for believing he would change, and terrified that everyone saw me as stupid, point blank. That shame sits so heavy because when you love someone who mistreats you, you start to think you're the problem. So for me, when I finally walked away, I thought I'd feel free, but the real work started after I left. I had anxiety, trust issues, and days where I didn't even want to be seen at all. I blamed myself because deep down I knew I allowed it. I thought my kindness could heal what was broken in him, but instead it ended up breaking me. But this is what I know now. He didn't ruin me. He revealed me. And he showed me the version of myself that still believed love had to hurt to be real. And once I saw that, I couldn't unsee it. So after all these things happened to me, it helped me move differently. So the first red flag, that's your last chance with me. I've learned that peace doesn't chase. It doesn't guilt trip. It doesn't confuse you. Peace feels like safety. And sometimes that's boring, guys. I'm just be honest with you. Sometimes it's boring, but you're at peace. You don't have to worry about being hurt. The hurt is not an option. There's just peace as an option. And I want that for all of you. So when I share this, it's not for pity. It's for the version of me, and maybe the version of you, that stayed too long trying to prove your worth. So let this be your reminder today. You were always enough. The love you gave wasn't wasted. It's coming back to you in ways that actually feels good and that's actually healthy for you. So for me, I'm not mad anymore. I'm not even broken. I'm rebuilding, stronger, wiser, and baby, I'm not ignoring the red flags ever again. I don't care how small. I don't care how long I've known you. I don't care if I've already daydreamed about our future. Who's guilty of this? Because I think I have a problem. If I like you, I start thinking about I wonder, do we get a cat together? I'm thinking too far ahead. We just went on our first date. I'm tripping, right? So that took me back for a second, but back to the topic. I don't live there anymore, and I will not be going back for anybody for any reason. Those memories used to break me down too, but they remind me of how far I've come. And if you're going through something similar, I know that it's not easy. It's very easy for me to go up here and talk about how easy it is, and you just leave it alone. It's not easy. You don't know. And then sometimes you feel like, hey, am I being too harsh? Hey, maybe it's me. No, it's not you. Trust me, you're saving yourself. And you know what? If you feel like, it's too fast, one red flag out of there. All right, give yourself a 3-strike rule. If you feel like one is like too, yeah, well, maybe you start gaslighting yourself. Well, maybe they had a long, whatever you're going to say. Fine. Give them 3 strikes. And I mean real extreme, okay? And we're going to get into what those extreme red flags are. So, not from a textbook or not from a TikTok list, but this is from experience, because sometimes you have to live through it to recognize it. So let's talk about the signs we ignore, the ones we excuse, and the one that tell us, baby, this isn't love, this is survival. So there's 3 different categories, couple different categories for the red flags that go on. So let's go over emotional red flags, right? So these are the sneaky ones because you can confuse them for something else. All right, so let's go into the first one that you can confuse. Love bombing. We talked about this in episode 2, but I just wanted to kind of go back over that. So love bombing is a constant affection, like gifts and attention early on. Like a little bit is fine, right? Like everybody wants to know that you're feeling them and you're interested, right? But when it's like a sudden withdrawal, that's when they start to hook you. Like I've heard the other day that this is how they get people to get addicted to slot machines. They get you like, you're doing good, you're winning, and then you lose. You're like, oh no, how do I get back in this game? Okay, so that goes to the next red flag for the emotional red flags, the hot and cold behavior. Now, I'm not saying like typical, you know what, today I can't, but with communication, right? So one week you're the world and the next week you're the problem. That keeps you chasing stability, and that's not healthy. Stability should be the foundation. You know what I mean? If you're having a hard time or you're having an argument, let's talk about it and move on. Let's work on it. So next, guilt trips that disguise as love. So stuff like if somebody said, if you really care, you would whatever. Or, you're all I have. Nobody else would do this for me. My mom don't. It don't matter. I can't do the pity party. Why are you guilt tripping me? No. And I know some people will be like, that's very small, but I don't go for that. Guilt trip. So, and this is a big one that I went through that was very annoying. I know I gave you guys an example last week too, like never apologizing or just like justifying or deflecting from the conversation. So instead of them taking accountabilities, they say things like, you're too sensitive, or I didn't mean it that way. So it makes you like, for me, when it was happening to me back then, it made me feel like, well, dang, maybe I am too sensitive. Am I tripping? Like, why am I so... No, you're not tripping and you're not being sensitive. What you're saying or what you're addressing to your partner should matter to them. I feel like when your partner tells you something, you should open up yourself to understand and put yourself in their shoes, because you want to feel what your partner is feeling, so that way you guys can move on to the next step. If somebody's not even willing to understand your standpoint, red flag. All right, so let's move on. So let's talk about psychological and control red flags. And I know a lot of people don't recognize this one a lot, and I didn't either. It's like when you get in a relationship and you just start isolating from everybody. That's not a good sign, guys. It's really a red flag. So I would advise anybody who's getting into a new relationship. I know you're so excited and you want to spend all your time with them. You want to know what they're doing. You want to understand, like, you just can't get enough, right? It's like starting cigarettes. I don't know, but like you're addicted to it. First of all, you should not be addicted to a relationship. And where I was going with that is that new relationships, any relationship at any stage needs space. So it's okay. Continue to go out with your friends. That is good for you to miss each other. It is okay. If that person is not for you and it feels weird when y'all are not together, that's too much. That may be another red flag that I need to add on. space is okay. And it's okay to miss that person. I know everybody has heard this phrase that distance makes the heart go fonder. And it's so true, guys. It's real. I know it's cliche, but believe it and give yourself space. So if your partner starts slowly pulling you away from your friends and your family under the excuse of something like, oh, we're just spending quality time. Nah, red flag, friends. So that goes along with the next psychological thing is monitoring. So them texting and calling you all the time. Where you at? What you doing? Okay, like I get it. Nowadays, WYD. What you doing? What you doing? Like, but you're not gonna what you doing me to death. Let's have an in-depth conversation. I feel like you never know enough about a person. Don't what you're doing me to death. And I feel like sometimes, not all the time, sometimes it's meaningless, right? But somebody who's always monitoring your moves, I don't like that. And you don't need that either. Okay. And so let's talk about the next topic. So over explaining your boundaries is another one that I wanted to hit on. So let's say you set a boundary and they act like it's rejection. And so you start walking on eggshells so you don't have to even go there anymore. That was their goal in the first place. So no, it's easy enough. We're adults, right? We're not children. You should understand my boundary. If I say, no, I don't want you to do this, and you continue to do it, then you don't respect me as a person. And I'm not going to walk on eggshells because of that. Because that will create long-term resentment and it's just not healthy for the relationship. So the last psychological control red flag that I want to talk about is somebody who creates confusion. There's some people who just thrive in chaos. Like, they love it. And I can't be around someone like that. Someone like that in a relationship is unhealthy. So I'll give you some examples. So when they're changing stories and rewriting history or making you doubt your own memory, it's turning into gaslighting. And that's almost like abuse, guys. So those are huge red flags. Gotta go. Gotta get out of there. So let's talk about the next section. So in the next section of red flags, we're going to talk about romantic or situational red flags, okay? So like a rush to commitment. So that goes along with love bombing, like, oh, we're going to get married and whoa. I haven't even met your parents yet. I forgot your dog's name and now you want to get married? Now? I just met you like, let's say a month ago. Absolutely not. Why are you rushing? Or when they want to move in. I know y'all heard about the hobos now. What do they call it? Hobosexuals. Listen, beware of the hobosexuals. And 'tis the season. It's getting colder. Don't let nobody live up in your house, especially somebody you just met. Not gonna work. Red flag. You can't live here. No. Especially ladies. Absolutely not. Please don't let a man live with you. It's not a good look. Okay? Especially when you just met them. So, and I shouldn't have to explain that. So let's move on. So another like rush to commitment is, using the L word, love, like too early. Like I just met you 2 weeks ago. You love me. You don't even know me. What's my favorite color? I don't know. But no, seriously, after a week, it feels flattering, but often it's manipulation, guys. So nah. So, and also here's another romantic or situational red flag is unresolved ex drama. Let's say you get with somebody, and I do feel like talking about past relationships is important in getting a relationship, but how do we know you're overdoing it? Like every other conversation, we shouldn't be talking about your ex, or we go to McDonald's, you're like, oh my God, my ex always used to eat McChickens. Like, I don't care. Why are we talking about that? Like, now you're doing too much. I do think people need to know the dynamics, but not too early. You don't need to be telling them all your business because I know that's a lot. That's like a first date question. Like, why are you single? What happened with your last relationship? And you can just keep it, basic. Like, things didn't work out. I've been whatever, you know what I mean? You don't have to go into details. He cheated on me and he's a liar. No, don't do that. Not too early on. But share small details, be honest, and then you can go from there. But if especially people who are still talking to their ex, huge red flag. I don't care Or the ones that are like, I'm just friends with all of them. Friends? You cannot be friends with someone you used to be screwing with or somebody that you used to love. It's not going to work. Or let's say that they still fight with them or even stalk them. Like, why are you following them on social media? Or why are you making a fake page? Like, it's weird stuff, right? So you're basically auditioning for the role of a soap opera. And you don't want to do that. Or maybe you do, but not in this case. So the next one I want to talk about is emotional unavailability. And this is a big one, and this is something I've also went through also. That was a huge, huge red flag in my last relationship. So let's say they tell you up front that they don't do relationships. Then you should just take that as that they don't do relationships. Do not try to change that mindset. Women, I know that we do this. We take that as a challenge. Oh, he don't do relationships? I'm going to show him how great of a person I am and how great. Let me tell you, I can cook some good macaroni and cheese. That's not going to change his mind, guys. And if you guys get in a relationship, he's going to use that against you. So when people tell you that they're not looking for relationships, they don't do relationships, they don't like relationships, fine, be their friend. Just please save yourself. And another thing is constant comparison. So if somebody is like comparing you to Instagram baddies, like, excuse me, then go get with this Instagram baddie. You don't have enough money to hold up an Instagram baddie if you want to be real. So don't go for that. Or they're like, they use jealousy to control your reactions. Like, nah, I think you're playing games. You need to, stuff like that. They're not ready for a committed relationship at all. So next list of red flags I want to talk about is communication red flags. And communication is just the heart and soul of a relationship. If you guys can't communicate, it ain't going to work. Point blank, period. So one of those things is deflecting accountability. And I know we've touched on this a few times, but it's very important. So again, when you're expressing hurt and they say, you always make things about you, or they just completely flip the entire script, run as fast as you can because it's not going to change and they're going to do it in every instance. And you're not going to be heard or seen. And that's exactly what happened to me. And it chips away at your self-esteem. You lose your voice. You don't want to stand up for yourself. It leads to just stronger and deeper things that can happen to you. So no, that's a huge red flag. And I know last week we talked about stonewalling. So I want to talk about it again because it is important. Going silent for days during conflict and then pop up like, hey, so how about them Steelers? How about kiss my ass? Don't come over here talking to me like you didn't just have an argument and you just disappeared. Please run as fast as you can. If they stop talking to you, guess what? You guys will never talk again. Anyway. Another big one is sarcasm or jokes that sting, or like they say something way below the belt and then they're like, oh, I was just playing. I'm like, what? No, nobody's ever just playing about certain things like that. So when someone's like, you just can't take a joke, do not take that personally and don't talk to that person because you can take a joke, but the joke shouldn't be on you. And that's in friendships too. I've seen a lot of friendships where this happened. It ain't funny. If my self-esteem and my self-worth is a joke to you, then we were never friends or lovers. You can just stay away from me. So, the last one of the communication red flags that I'm going to talk about is weaponized vulnerability. And you see a lot of this in covert narcissism. So somebody that's oversharing trauma to gain sympathy, then using it to avoid change. So I'm going to use my ex as an example, and I do with it as you please. So my ex would always talk about like being bullied in high school and how everybody hated him and that nobody, he didn't have the best shoes and everybody clowned him. Like, come on, bro. Most people have been bullied, and I'm sorry that happened. But he would talk about it at least twice a week. I'm not even kidding. Like, bro, seriously? And then he would use that just as like a manipulation factor later on when we were arguing. Like, I just don't know because I've never had friends. Nobody's ever loved me. Like, I don't care. You should know better. It doesn't matter what happened to you in high school. Okay? We're grown. So most of us that's listening to this podcast is like 25 and up. Okay? We don't even talk about high school. Like, yeah, I was bullied too, but you don't see me talking about it every freaking day. That's crazy to me. And then they use it just to like avoid change. No, run, people. So that's just a list of the red flags that I wanted to go over because I felt like I didn't touch a whole lot of them last week. So for you, for the listeners out there, when you've seen enough red flags, please exit stage left. And I know sometimes, especially if you've been dealing with a person for a long time and you break things off, it's hard, especially if you found yourself in a trauma bond. But, closure may not come to you. I know for me, it didn't come for me. And it hurt for a while and I wanted it and I yearned for it. Like, where is this closure? I wasn't even wrong in the relationship. I just want to let you know closure may not come. And you're the closure. You have to be that. So you stop waiting for an apology and start living like you've already forgave yourself for staying too long. You can only hold up your end of the bargain, not their end of the bargain. The lesson in every red flag is the same. Love isn't supposed to confuse you, shrink you, or hurt you more than it heals you. So that's all I have for this week, guys. And I hope that you've learned something, that you've laughed a little bit, and you'll remember and take home to all the things that we talked about. With that being said, if this episode hits something inside you, that's good. That means you're done ignoring the red flags. You're ready to listen to your piece this time, and I'm proud of you. So I'll see y'all next week. So in next week's episode, in episode 4, we're going to flip it from red flags to green flags, because not everything is bad or hopeless or crazy, okay? Most of the things are, but not everything. So the healing version of you, it's not desperate, it's discerning. So just remember that. Take care of your heart, and don't forget, you deserve the kind of love that doesn't come with a warning label. So I want to hear from you guys. Have you ever been in a relationship with red flags? How did you end up handling it? Did you leave or did you repaint the red flags that you saw? I want to hear from you, and don't be shy. Get loud in those comments. All right, y'all. This is Pretty Loud, where real talk gets pretty loud. Until the next episode.
Thanks for watching. I want to hear from you. Get loud in the comments, like, and subscribe for more.